A little while ago, I saw this 2004 Torch Red Terminator Cobra for sale. It was on some of the Terminator pages for sale, and I really liked the car. I had really been interested in getting a Torch Red Terminator. As a matter of fact, obviously I didn't end up buying this one, but I did buy this 10th anniversary Cobra. Here's a picture of mine. Beautiful car, very happy with my purchase. But anyway, I was looking at this one as a possible car that I wanted to buy, and I liked that it was a 2004. To me, that means it most likely has the better cylinder heads on it, and I like that it's torch red. I like the charcoal gray insert seats, even though my '04 competition Orange Cobra already had that color. And I actually do like the lighter graphite color seats. I thought that would be kind of fun to have in a Cobra since I don't have those yet. But anyway, I did like this car. It had a lot of really nice things on it that I liked, like the Borla exhaust system. That's one of my favorite catbacks, probably the favorite for the Cobra. I liked that it had those inserts in the bumper, even though I don't think I would have chosen that color. I still remember thinking in my mind, would I keep them? Yeah, I'd probably just keep them. I like black, and as a matter of fact, I went with carbon fiber ones for my 10th anniversary since it has a lot of carbon fiber pieces, but I'll be installing those later. That's a whole different story. But anyway, this is a very nice car. It did have a little bit higher mileage than what I was looking for. It was right at 60,000 miles. The one I bought had 43,000 when I bought it, and so it's about a 20,000 mile difference almost. But anyway, still, this was a car that I was considering, and I really liked it. I spent a lot of time looking over these pictures of the car, although one of the first things I noticed about the car was it had four big drill holes in the front bumper where the license plate bracket used to be. And that's something that's really hard for me to accept on the car. I know it might not be a big deal to some people, but it did bother me that they were so big and they were so visible. And I remember even thinking, okay, well, if I buy this car, I don't really want to have paint work done to it. I don't want to repaint the front bumper or replace it or anything. And it wasn't really a deal breaker. I did contact the seller and I talked to him for a little bit about the car back and forth. And the asking price was pretty fair for what it was. And it looked like it was a really nice car. Here's a picture of the engine bay. It was really nice. I thought that the valve covers looked particularly clean. I liked that the supercharger had the painted logos on the Ford and the SVT. It had the nice JLT fender well intake, the Terminator radiator shroud thing, the aftermarket coolant expansion tanks, the idler pulleys, and I think it was even a ported Eaton car. But it looked like a really nice car. I didn't really care for those hood strut things, but other than that, it was a really nice car. I would have been very happy with it. So I was interested, but I wasn't quite sold on going all the way to Florida to get it, which I would have loved to go on a trip and drive it all the way home. I really like doing that with cars. That would have been all the way across the country from Florida to Utah, and I would have really enjoyed it, but that would have added another $1,000 or $2,000 to the price of the car just to get it home. And so I kind of watched it just to see what happened, and the next thing I knew, the car was sold. Another thing I didn't really care for were those 10th anniversary wheels on this car since it wasn't a 10th anniversary car. They look good. Chrome wheels on Torch Red looks really good, and it is a beautiful car, but I didn't really care for the wheels, so I knew I would have to find the 5-spoke original wheels for it and everything, but it just wasn't going to work out. It didn't work out. I didn't end up buying it anyway. And so the new owner bought the car. I'll put his Instagram name right here. And it wasn't very long after that I found the car on Instagram. I saw pictures of it here and there. It was probably under certain hashtags for Terminator Cobra. And I recognized the car immediately, most likely because of those front bumper holes and the wheels. And it looks like he had changed the inserts in the bumper to a dark color Cobra vinyl letters, which looks good. That's what I would have liked anyway. But nice car. It was nice to see somebody got it and they were taking good care of it. And so this next owner started modifying the car, and one of the first pictures I saw of it was him dropping the fuel tank to do some modifications. I assume he was doing the PPRV delete or a return fuel line system with it or something like that. But anyway, he started modifying the car and he did exactly what I wanted to do with it. He put a 2.3 liter VMP supercharger on it. Now, the 2.3 liter has been a wonderful supercharger for these cars. They're making 600 to 650 horsepower on pump gas. They're a little more efficient than the bigger Whipples of their generation. And that's an ongoing game. Whipple will release the new generation of theirs, which will do really well, or have colder IAT temperatures and things. But anyway, this supercharger was what I was looking at doing. So he was following the plan of what I wanted to do with the car, was buy a nice Torch Red Cobra, put a VMP on it, and go have some fun. Then I saw pictures of the car at the racetrack on Big and Littles, and he was getting ready to go. And his first pass he did here was pretty good. He did an 11.5, although he had to let out early. And I just enjoyed watching the car from afar. I was able to see him trailer it to the track, race it on these nice tires, getting good launches, good track times. He was able to get into the 10s with the car. It was a 1090 pass. And just really cool to see what this car was capable of, especially since I was considering buying it. This next pass was particularly good, and I'm probably just as proud as he was. He was excited to say that he had gapped this Porsche. He treed him at the light, and the Porsche still couldn't catch him. It was a turbo Porsche, too. Here's a really good pass into the daylight. I love the sound of this car. He was doing really well. He was getting plaques and awards and things. Here's a picture of his car next to his old Fox body, which was a Coyote car that was swapped, that he sold to get the Cobra. Another plaque. And speaking of Coyotes, this is where I find it a little bit interesting. So he sold the Coyote car to get the Terminator, which I see a lot of people would like to do to get into a Terminator. They could go from getting a newer car and then go back to a Terminator, going from an older car, stepping up to a Terminator. It seems like a lot of people love these cars, and even if they have something that's really sought after, like a Coyote swapped Fox, in this case, he was wanting to go ahead and get it the Terminator, and I agree with that decision. But what's funny about this is I was watching Alejandro Flores, his YouTube channel, and he's really good with the Coyotes. I think he knows a lot, and he's great at that kind of stuff. But he has a chip on his shoulder against the Terminator Cobras. If you watch any of his videos, he sure gets upset with all the fame that this car has. Now, I assume that he came from Fox bodies and he went into the Coyote cars, and he's really good at that. And I think when he was a Fox owner, he must have got stomped by these Terminators, and he's always held a grudge against them. But anyway, here they are in this video, and they are tuning this Torch Red Terminator at Power by the Hour, where they work, And it turns out that this is the car that we're talking about today. So this is the exact car, and I had recognized the car. There's a few distinct things about it, like the wheels and the holes in the front bumper and everything. But anyway, they were talking about it, and of course this Alejandro guy was like, oh, blah, 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 they're hard to tune. Look at all these wires you have to tune them and all that nonsense. But the car did impressive. Just going to E85, it put down 653 horse. And so I think that's an amazing number for a car on E85. And from what I understand, that was just changing the fuel. That wasn't even tuning it after that. The next day they were supposed to go back and continue the tune on it. And I'm pretty sure it put in the 700 range on E85 tuned. But he kept complaining about how you have to have all these things to plug into the Cobra to tune it. And I think that's interesting because you read through the comments and you start reading that people are saying, you don't really have to do it that way, and these cars are easy to tune, and it didn't take them very many pulls to do tuning on theirs. And you know, this place, Power by the Hour, says they're not going to tune these older cars anymore because it takes too much time. And it's funny because then the other comments show other people with their perspective saying they're not tuning these cars because they don't have the skill to tune them right. And that is actually the next part of the story, which is really interesting. From what I read in the comments, it turns out that another company had to tune this Cobra after they did, and they said it was a total mess to clean it all up. And the unfortunate thing is, after it was tuned by Power by the Hour, the engine went on the car. I don't know whether it was a bad tune. You know, there's all sorts of things that it could have been, like bad fuel or the car leaning out or a bad alternator. There's always other things, so I'm not going to blame the tuner, but another tuner did tune the car after this. So here are some of the pictures of the rebuild, and of course I'm thinking at this point, well, maybe it's good that I didn't buy this one, maybe it needed to be rebuilt, but like I said, it could have been tuning issues, could have been anything. But here's some of the shots of the short block being stripped down. Here's a picture of actually the whole engine coming out of the car. And then he got some really nice new pistons. I believe these are CP pistons, and new flywheel. Just did a whole lot to the car. Here's the bottom end all assembled. Looked really nice. Of course, all ARP hardware, everything. I think the Terminators already come with it, but anyway, it's different. The block all cleaned up, and then here is a nice picture of the engine all reassembled and ready to go. And so here it is on the dyno at Robi Racing for the team. And so now the car put down 715 horsepower, 703 torque to the rear wheels. Excellent numbers for the car. He was very happy, saying that it ran great, and he was very thrilled. And so now it was back to the racetrack for some more fun racing. This is one of my favorite races here. 2 Torch Red Terminator Cobras. The other one's a guy named Tanner that I also follow on Instagram with the 10th anniversary. This was really cool to see these 2 cars going at it. And this car here won the driver mod class. Tanner's Cobra here is a nitrous Eaton car, just so you know. So anyway, this was really cool to see this Terminator Cobra evolve over the last year or so, the modifications it's had. It's really unfortunate that it lost an engine, but it's had a good rebuild. I think the owner is really good to the car. He knows what he's doing. He's had a lot of experience. He drives really well. And it's real fun to see this car that I almost bought and see what it's turned into. It's a good story. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as well, if you have stories like this of your car, I'd love to see them. So go ahead and make stories like this, and go ahead and put a link to your video in the comments, and we'll all be able to watch it too.